What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we will be bringing it back to our bi-weekly Hunger Games marathon with Mockingjay Part 1, which of course was one of the many adaptations split into two parts. Harry Potter did it, Twilight did it, Divergent tried and failed to do it, and that's unfortunately just a forever incomplete saga. Hopefully they end this trend they insist on stipulating. It just doesn't work for pacing, which I'll try to explain in a little bit. So let's get cracking. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, stipulate, to demand an express term in an agreement. It's moves and counter-moves in the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, when Katniss Everdeen awakes in the mysterious 13th District, surrounded by rebellions, ready to follow the symbol of the Mockingjay. Katniss isn't interested in being their symbol at first, but agrees to help them out when she learns that they may be able to rescue Peeta Mellark and the other tributes being held captive and possibly being tortured at the Capitol. As I mentioned before, pacing can always be an issue when it comes down to a book getting split into two films. When it comes right down to it, when you split apart one book, you split apart the narrative, meaning in no way, shape, or form can either film fully feel self-contained unless they drastically alter something. The Mockingjay overall story seen in both the first and second part is really simply a rebellion systematically trying to figure out how to take down the Capitol, and that's it. They try to cover their own skins by making this first part a story about saving Peeta and the other tributes, but the problem there is Katniss is the only person that actually cares about that mission. Literally everybody else is like, what? Why? You're nuts. Forget Peeta. Think big picture. So rescuing Peeta is a personal goal, which is fine, but the movie ultimately feels incomplete because the real story of playing chess with the Capitol, moves and counter-moves, it's mostly an afterthought, and the role this film has in that overall story is, again, it's just build-up, it's introduction, it's laying the foundation, that's it. The narrative doesn't flow like any of the other films, which leads me to believe that they should have really just kept it as one movie. But honestly, that's really only if you pick it apart. Most people don't, and it's just me personally attempting to justify that feeling you get while watching it, that something just isn't clicking like the others do. But you can enjoy the movie as its own thing. You can even root for the events of the film, and most importantly, the symbol of hope that Katniss has always been really good at spreading. This film is filled to the brim with messages of hope and inspiration and doing the right thing. But for me, the reason why it doesn't always feel like a Hunger Games film is 1, there are no Hunger Games. 2, Peeta is barely in there, and it's very much a militant film with lots of planning and plotting, media strategies on both sides, and like I mentioned before, it's primarily set up for what's to come in Part 2. The main thing you'll probably remember this movie for is specifically the Hanging Tree song that Katniss sings later on in the film. I mean, they played that sucker back to back on the radio. It was just a really powerful song. But at the end of the day, you have a lot of almost boring moments too, especially in comparison to the other films. A huge part of that really is the pacing, because there's not a lot that actually happens in this movie other than expressions and hurt feelings. That's a lot of screen time of just people looking around while sad. Sure, the acting is good. It's very good. Jennifer Lawrence, unsurprisingly, kills it again in this role. But you come to expect something out of the series, and there's not much that this first part actually delivers on other than a lot of lead up. But it's still made well for what it is. They've built this world from the ground up already, so truthfully, any bad associated with the movie isn't that bad. There's still great acting, a great assortment of characters, a believably futuristic world dependent on media and controlling the public, and of course, its do-good attitude, that feeling of hope that each film has had thus far. It's all there, and all of that alone makes for a great experience watching a film. It's just hard not to nitpick here and there. At the end of the day, my score for Mockingjay Part 1 was 87%, 87 out of 100 possible stars, granting it the letter grade of B+. So it's a 9 out of 10 score, while the others are 10 so far, so it's clearly not a terrible film. It's actually pretty good. It's just, it doesn't live up to the others. Take that as you will. But let me know your thoughts on Mockingjay 1 in the comments down below. As for YouTube, you know what you should do. Hit the subscribe button if you like this review, because there are more where this came from. Hit the thumbs up button, because that always helps out my channel. And don't you dare forget about that little bell, because that little bell does more for you than you could ever know, because it helps notify you when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out!